It's day 88 of the national emergency, day 16 of our country's collective outpouring of grief and civil resistance. And it's day 101 in New York since the first COVID 19 case was discovered. So it feels like a lot has gone on, but in some ways, actually, we're just getting started. Well, I'm glad you could be with us tonight and that you're safe. Very special show. First of all, I just saw this. I need to look into it a little bit more, but one of our favorites, Yamiche Alcindor of PBS NewsHour, was awarded the 2020 Aldo Beckman Award for overall excellence in White House coverage. Yes, congratulations, Yamiche. I'm going to look that up and see what's more, but I know that you are absolutely deserving, and I'm so happy that you won. This weekend, there was a lot of protests. We had lined up some of the folks from Justice for George Queens to come on tonight, but we're going to have them on Thursday. But here you see Saturday's march in Long Island City, an aerial view. And then here's our representation. The Astoria branch of the Queens Village crew. It takes a Queens Village, people. Taylor or Fern, anyone, tell Frank I forgot to text him, but I'm going to roll Lift Every Voice and Sing again because I just wanted to start the show with that. It's such an amazing piece. Gosh, thank you, Frank. That was awesome. Well, our first guest tonight, Daryl Smalls. Daryl Smalls is the guy that you want to have at every single school sporting event. He's totally enthusiastic, filled with positive energy, and totally supportive of all the student athletes. And he's got the coolest whistle of anyone that I've ever seen at a soccer game or a basketball game.
Got the whistle. I forgot
That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, here is our very own Daryl Smalls. Welcome, Daryl.
Good evening, Scott. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. No complaints here.
Yeah, you
Thank
look
you
good.
very much. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me on your show. I appreciate it.
Please, I'm honored. I'm glad that Cynthia let you take a couple minutes and join us for some fun.
Make it last as long as you can, because you know she has things for me to do. So just make it.
Yeah, well, you've actually been busy, right, throughout this whole situation.
Yeah, yes, I have. I'm deemed a necessary worker. I work with the mentally challenged and autistic community, so I've been working every day with them, following them at work, and making sure they're treated fairly. So I've been out every single day, seeing everything that's going on.
And then, we had a little bit of a conversation the other day and then last night. What have you seen going on?
I've seen, well, I live in Freeport, Freeport, Roosevelt, in that area. I've seen several protests going on. One I saw on Sunday, and for the most part, they're all peaceful. But the protesters are met with people that are extremely belligerent, um, angry, and hostile. And in my area, most of the protesters, they were from high school. They're teenagers, they're young adults,
Hmm.
and these are grown people that are coming at them and yelling all types of obscenities and everything to them. It's very disheartening. But on the flip side, the teenagers in this new generation, they kept their composure. They know what they're there for, and they couldn't be incited, which I was very pleased to see.
Hmm. And you talk about these young kids that are coming up, and I know that you work with a lot of people who are young. Um, and I see what you see in that they have this composure, they have this sense of organization, and this ability to organize and then mobilize a lot of people. I see them with open hearts and uh, minds that have big dreams. But as you and I were talking, um, you see a lot of things that are unfortunately similar for these kids growing up as when you were young.
I certainly do. This Sunday, I was asked, one of my dear friends, Sister Wilma Tootle, she asked me to speak to the young adults in our school, in our church, that are graduating. So we're talking about from the ages of 14 to 18, and to give a type of guideline as to how to conduct themselves this summer with everything that's going on.
Mm.
What are some safety guidelines? And as I thought about it, what was disheartening to me was that the same speech I gave these kids were the same speech that my parents gave me over 50 years ago. So it showed me that although there have been successes and you see different things going on, the basic mindset has not changed. The problems have not changed. And it was an eye opener for me to give the same rules to these teenagers that my parents gave me as I was growing up.
And what are some of those? Like I think what you're talking about is maybe interactions with the police.
Please, most definitely. Well, it's not a secret. I'm a black male, so there are certain things that you have to take into consideration. You can't take anything for granted. So I had a car at a very young age. I was told when I'm stopped by the police, put all hands on top of the steering wheel, everything visible. To be extremely polite, to be courteous, not to be belligerent, not to be engaging in any type of argument or any type of thing that can be considered aggressive. Um, my mother also told me when you're driving, if you have a girl in the car, have the girl sit in the front seat. And I was not allowed to have any more than 2 to 3 people in my car at a time. I couldn't drive around with all of my male friends because she said, you're going to make yourself a target. And the cops are going to stop you because they think that you're up to no good. And all of those rules, it worked for me. I still got stopped. I still got harassed, but thank God nothing happened to me. And that was the same advice that I gave them Sunday. The other thing that I told them was that their right to be angry. Um, it's a natural emotion, but you can't let that anger overtake you. And in order to to succumb this, you have to think 2 or 3 steps ahead, and you have to use your education. You have to use poise. You have to use dignity, despite what is thrown to you. That's what you have to display at all times, so that you're palatable to society. You don't want to feed into the negative energy of what people say that you are. Prove to them and show to them what you are, and not the characteristics or what they want to box you into.
Mm, mm. And that's just one small slice in dealing with the authorities, in these times when people are pulled over. But as we've seen now, there's been also this whole pandemic situation that people have to handle as well.
That is extremely unfortunate. It's still something that I believe was conjured. I believe it was manufactured. I've always believed that. Um, on the negative side, um, the pandemic has taken many lives. In my church and my friends, I've lost 11 people.
Oh, wow.
My friend
Sorry to
that was
hear
in my
that.
wedding, he just passed away today
Oh,
from it.
sorry, Daryl.
So it reaches everyone, and it hits especially minorities. It hit us hard because the underlying medical problems that we had that were not treated as well as they could be when the pandemic hit. It just took that, and it just took people's lives. It just took them. So there was a large disparity of when it comes to medical care and medical attention. We were at a deficit because we didn't get all of the things that other communities, other nationalities got, and also testing and all of those resources that were not available to the Black community as they were in other communities. So we were at a deficit. But on the positive side that I saw, because of this pandemic and because everything was shut down, when the police brutality situation came up, it afforded all of these people the opportunity to go out to march because no one was at work, no one was at the gym, no one was at restaurants. There was nothing to do. So something negative that happened,
Mm-hmm.
people were able to tap into it and make a positive out of it. And I believe that's why you have the numbers of protesters that you've
Mm-hmm.
had.
Mm-hmm. And is it feeling to you like a change that we can carry over into the future?
I certainly do. I'm more optimistic today than I've ever been. Um, when I was driving Sunday with my wife and I saw these teenagers, and I saw more white and Latino and everything else than I saw Black. It touched me. I started crying because they're out there. They've already privileged, but they're out there because their conscience is bothering them because of how others are treated. And I've never seen that before. If
Mm-hmm.
you look on the news and you see in Paris, you see in
Mm-hmm.
Scotland, all different countries, you see everyone uniting saying Black Lives Matter. This is a situation and a problem that can't be fixed by Blacks. It's got to be a problem that is breached by all of the other nationalities in order for them to stand up and say, look, this is not right. I've got to change my behavior. I've got to change my train of thought to make a difference. And I finally have the belief that that can happen because of what I see today.
Wow. Amazing. Very, it's, and this is what I said at the top of this segment was you will not find a person with a more positive heart than Daryl Smalls. Um, you know, to be able to look into this world, especially at this moment, and see what we see with open eyes, and to be able to see the positive that can come out of it. That's a wonderful thing.
You have to believe. You have to believe. There's always a ram in the bush. There's always a ram in the bush, and you have to believe that something good has to come, because if you don't, you just wither inside. And I refuse to do that. I know people like you and everyone else, and if I know you, then I know there's got to be thousands of others just like you, and that's what I hold on to.
Yeah, and that's what I saw over the weekend at the protest. We in Queens with the kids. Same thing. I'm seeing and believing the same things as you, Daryl.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you for coming on and sharing really powerful words, and definitely you touched my heart, and I'm hoping that our audience, and I'm sure they're open as well, and I'm sure they were touched as well.
I thank you so much for this platform. I love your show, and keep pressing on. I thank you so much.
Thank you, Daryl, and we'll speak soon, and we'll check in again. It's great. It's great to have you, and maybe
Sure.
next time we'll get to hear the whistle.
Oh yeah, so bad. And I thought about it today, and I forgot it. Next
Give
time.
Cynthia a hug for us, okay?
All right, you do the
All
same to
right.
Kate and Caleb.
All right. Thank you, Daryl.
Take care.
Bye bye. Awesome. Awesome. And he's right. I feel it. I feel things are changing as well. But I'm often reminded, how far back all of this goes. And I found this clip. Here, let's just watch the clip. We'll watch the clip first, and then we'll talk.
I'll tell you this. When I left this country in 1948, I left this country for one reason only, one reason. I didn't care where I went. I might have gone to Hong Kong, I might have gone to Timbuktu, I ended up in Paris, on the streets of Paris, with $40 in my pocket on the theory that nothing worse could happen to me there than it already happened to me here. You talk about making it as a writer by yourself. You have to be able then to turn off all the antenna with which you live, because once you turn your back on this society, you may die. You may die. And it's very hard to sit at a typewriter and concentrate on that if you're afraid of the world around you. The years I lived in Paris did one thing for me. They released me from that particular social terror, which was not the paranoia of my own mind, but a real social danger visible in the face of every cop, every boss, everybody. I don't know what most white people in this country feel, but I can only include what they feel from the state of their institutions. I don't know if white Christians hate Negroes or not, but I know that we have a Christian church which is white and a Christian church which is black. I know, as Malcolm X once put it, that the most segregated hour in American life is high noon on Sunday. That says a great deal for me about a Christian nation. It means that I can't afford to trust most white Christians, and certainly cannot trust the Christian church. I don't know whether the labor unions and their bosses really hate me. That doesn't matter, but I know I'm not in their unions. I don't know if the real estate lobby is anything against black people, but I know the real estate lobbies keep me in the ghetto. I don't know if the Board of Education hates black people, but I know the textbooks they give my children to read and the schools that we have to go to. Now, this is the evidence. You want me to make an act of faith, risking myself, my wife, my woman, my sister, my children, on some idealism which you assure me exists in America, which I have never seen.
Yeah, that is super powerful. That was 1968, James Baldwin on the Dick Cavett Show. And then that was also, and I'm going to encourage you to watch this documentary called I Am Not Your Negro. That was from 2017, Raoul Peck, nominated for the Oscar for feature-length documentary. Amazing. If you haven't seen it, watch it, and it will blow your mind. Now, speaking about blowing your mind, we first met Rashada Dewan last week, and then she and I both were on the phone the next day trying to think of an awesome way to bring her back, and here she is. Welcome, Rashada.
Hey, glad to be back.
Great to see you again. And now, so how was your week? How has this week been going for you?
It's actually been busy. It's been busy more than it has been this entire quarantine season. But I actually think that's a good thing. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people are listening. A lot of people are asking questions. A lot of people
Mm.
are talking. So, yeah, stuff is buzzing to say the least.
Okay. And you chose a song. Which song did you choose to sing tonight?
I chose the song God Bless the Child that's got his own by Billie Holiday. I think that it's important to know that no matter what happens out of this, God still got us. Now that's my own personal belief, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what I stand by.
Okay. All right. So let me get myself out of this frame and give you the whole stage and take it away, Rashada.
All right. Them that's got shall get, them that's not shall lose. So the Bible says, and it still is news. Mama may have, and Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own. That's got his own. Mm, yes, the strong get more, while the weak ones fade. Empty pockets don't never make the grave. Mama may have it, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own. Ooh, that's got his own. Money, you've got so many friends crowding around your door. But when it's gone and spending ends, they don't come around. Ooh, they don't come around no more. Rich relations give crust of bread and such. You can help yourself, but don't you take too much. Oh my, your mama may have it, Papa he may have, but God bless the child that's got his own. That's got his own. Oh, money, you got so many friends crowding around your door. But when it's gone and spending ends, they don't come around no more. Whoa, whoa. Rich relations give crust of bread and such. Now you can help yourself, but don't you dare take too much. Mama may have, your papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own one, that's got his own, that's got his own.
my gosh. Rashada, that was amazing. The
Thank you.
I wish you could have seen all the hearts and the thumbs and the love, the
Now, Scott,
digital love.
can I share with you a little something?
Oh,
You
please.
see how good you feel right now, or how good other people feel on this call or watching this. Imagine if someone is feeling this and they still can't pay their bills, or they still feel like they've been treated unfairly. But look how full you feel. This kind of feeling you felt years ago. um, People who look like me and that you probably know, and even the artists of this very song, could not walk through the front doors of a building.
Mm-hmm.
But you see how light and full your heart, and your face was red, and you were
Mm-hmm.
so, I saw your face, you were smiling. That small bit of joy, the world didn't even matter. And that's what makes it like, oh, this is magic. No, this is my gift that I'm just giving at no charge because I love it so. But once this is over, you get to return to your life, and I get to return to my life. And thankfully, I'm good. But I come from a people where their life, when they went back home, it wasn't good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Even down to leaving the stage and having to go through the kitchen to go home and maybe sleep in a less than great hotel, or maybe not be able to feed their children.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that this is a race thing. I'm just saying it's a human thing because, everybody has different experiences. But specifically by law, we couldn't walk through the front door of a place.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't plan any of that, but I guess that was on my heart because I know what kind of show you're doing. And I want to share that we just do this for fun to make everybody feel good. But I want to encourage everyone to have a broader perspective and understand that how important it is for equity and justice to be widely received and expected.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hear you, and I hear two things that you said loud and clear, and I'm not putting any definite meaning onto what you said, but I heard two things. I heard
Okay.
pay equity, and I
Mm-hmm.
heard legal equity. Just
Yeah.
just hearing those things and reading this book, and I'm listening to more people, and I'm feeling like as as opposed to not talking about those things, uh, it's now we have to talk about those things,
Mm-hmm.
and not just in certain times like on tax day or some kind of thing,
That's
but,
right.
but we have to be dialoguing about these things all the time with everybody so we can learn from some people, but then we
Mm-hmm.
have to turn around and maybe not be the teacher, but at least be a conduit of information.
Yes, yes, yes. I like that conduit. That's a
Yeah.
wonderful one. I like that. I thank you for creating this space because I think that's the ultimate goal is to have all of these spaces where we can just be free to be human and have very human conversations and even human misunderstandings. This is a powerful thing.
Well, thank you for coming into this
Yeah.
space and making it beautiful, and you know, I hope that you will come back again, and this is another beginning.
Well, thank you. And if the people who love it, even you want to give a love donation, if it's on your heart, because I can go a place and get paid a lot of money to do what I just did right now. But because I care about what you're doing, Scott, I don't mind. So it's just let humanness move you to do something beyond what is called for. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely,
That's
and and hopefully, we've got the right digital links to help
oh yeah.
people, that, and we're putting them up there, and people, there's something in the background there. There's
Well, my
something.
dog,
Yeah.
she's sleeping. It's my dog. She's like, yeah, mom, what you said.
Yeah. So we have absolutely the links,
And just in your everyday life, because everyone, yes, you can support the links and the donations are fine, but money is not always the answer.
mm-hmm,
It's your heart. It's where what are you actively doing to confront injustice?
mm-hmm,
Where are you speaking out? Are you putting yourself on the line to say, I might lose this, but I gotta speak out for the sake of humanity? It's
mm-hmm,
easy to just donate to something,
mm-hmm,
which we encourage, but let's not just let it stop there. It's easy to put up a hashtag, easier than to maybe confront your boss or your family member or teach your children or deal with some pride issues inside or some privilege that you didn't know or confront your own ignorance. Those things cost too.
I absolutely hear all of that, and I take all of that in, and I am just going to go back a step or two and encourage the thing about making a donation, making a tip. I'm going to encourage everyone out there right now to click on that link. And let's start with a donation. Let's start with a tip. Let's start
Yeah,
with just a
do it.
little bit of financial,
Go ahead.
something,
Yeah.
and then we'll move on from there. Yes,
And that's right. Just we got to start somewhere, don't we, Scott?
well, why not let that be the first step?
That's right. That's right. Amen.
All right. Thank you very much, Rashada. Thank you.
Thank you sincerely.
Yeah, and we'll be together again soon.
Okay, I hope so.
All right. Be safe.
All right, you too.
All right. Thank you. Good
Bye
night.
bye.
I can easily say, and it seems difficult maybe this in this exact moment in time to say this, but this show and just being a part of it has brought me so much, and I feel that it's bringing me even more growth, so much growth, which is something I didn't anticipate, and just to because I feel like it is hard. So I brought up this book the other day, White Fragility. Let me see. I'm gonna change the camera so I can read. I just want to read a little bit from this book. This is White Fragility: Why It's So Hard for White People to Talk About Racism. By Robin DiAngelo. Amazing book. It came out in 2016, I believe, by Beacon Press. I'm just going to read this. It's right from the first chapter. In fact, when we try to talk openly and honestly about race, white fragility quickly emerges, as we are so often met with silence, defensiveness, argumentation, certitude, and other forms of pushback. These are not natural responses. They are social forces that prevent us from attaining the racial knowledge we need to engage more productively, and they function powerfully to hold the racial hierarchy in place. That's one of the things right in the first chapter you get from this book. There's this notion of of a racial hierarchy, and there are many. It's very conniving, it's very slippery, and it's very powerful in its ability to sustain its own life. Just a little bit more. These forces keeping the racial hierarchy in place include the ideologies of individualism and meritocracy. Now, I may take a little thing on Thursday. I just want to talk about individualism and meritocracy. They sound wonderful, but again, all is not what it appears to be when we're talking about racial inequality in our country. These forces include ideologies of individualism, meritocracy, narrow and repetitive media representations of people of color. Undeniable. We've all seen that. Segregation in schools and neighborhoods. Depictions of whiteness as the human ideal. Truncated history, jokes, and warnings and taboos on openly talking about race and white solidarity. Okay, that's just in the first chapter. That's a lot. I didn't anticipate this kind of growth from this show, but this is where we are, and this is what we're talking about. So, we heard from James Baldwin earlier. That was 68, and now Governor Cuomo yesterday
has done it. Now, I would like to see us actually go further than that, Zach, because yes, there's discrimination institutionalized in society, and it's manifested in the police and criminal justice system, but it's worse than that. It's actually worse than that. Education is where it starts. Housing is where it starts. Healthcare is where it starts. You want to make a difference in America. You want to live up to the American promise, the American dream. Let America be America again. Every child has a quality education. Not two educations separate but equal, separate but unequal. Equal education for every child. Not the poor children, even in this state. Poor schools, $13,000 per student. Rich schools, $36,000 per student. How? How? Equal opportunity. We have equal opportunity. Oh, really? My child starts out $13,000 for education. Your child starts out $36,000 for education. My child comes from a poor zip code, less social services, more problems in the community, often more problems in the household, and that child gets less education and less services. Equal opportunity. No. And look, we have been talking about this for decades. And that's where it starts. And the fundamental insanity, you're spending $50,000 a year on a prison cell. It's more than the tuition in Harvard University. I mean, how long have we been talking about this? It's a reverse set of priorities.
I want to ask you about...
lot to take away from that, but the two words that kind of jumped out at me, fundamental insanity. Thank you for coming along for the ride tonight. I hope you are all safe and well. Thank you again to Daryl and Rashada for spending some of their evening with us. And we will see you on Thursday. So hunker, hug, haven. We may need to explore that hunker. What's this one? Yeah, this one. We'll get more into this on Thursday. Oh, I guess we're not going to see that one. What if I do it from here? Nope. All right. That one. There we are. Through science, not politics, not anything, but through science, New York has flattened the curve. New York City has totally flattened the curve. So most of the state is in a phase 2 opening. New York City is in a phase 1. It's all steps in a good, positive direction. So for now, we're still hunker, hug, and haven. We'll see you on Thursday.